Greetings and salutations, friends, and welcome to what I am sad, yet not necessarily surprised to say, is the withered, desiccated husk of what was once the idea of Victoria 2. As Victoria 3, the sequel, simply just gets rid of virtually every single mechanic that made Victoria 2 Victoria 2, that made it something different from all of the other grand strategy game, that made it so beloved and cool. This game has none of that. So we'll just dive right in to start listing out all of the mechanics that no longer exist. The most crucial one being that there is no capitalism simulator here whatsoever. It does not exist. It just isn't there. It is not there in any way, shape, or form. In Victoria 2, if you wanted a factory to be built in America, which is a republic, it's a free and democratic state, you couldn't just order someone to do it. The state just doesn't have that power. Instead, you had to go over to a place and go like, okay, well, encourage weapons industry over here because it's got steel, okay? And then a capitalist, one of your pops, might look at that and go, weapons industry, eh? Alright. And then he would invest his money into that. And you could help him too, you could invest money into it as well, but it was him investing and it was him building the factory. The pop built it. In this game, you simply just build it. If I want a steel factory here, I'll just go to industry and steel mill and pop, there you go. There you are. That's how you do it now. And worse than that, I can go into individual buildings. I can go into the food industry in Kentucky and say, you're going to be a cannery now. Oh, and you're going to be a bakery cannery. There you go. Oh, and I think you're going to use Peyton Stills. There you are. That's in America. That is in a democracy, right? The government goes into a building and just says, this is how you're going to do your job. Now, don't get me wrong, this level of detail, being able to go into individual buildings and decide what they're going to make and how, would be fantastic. It would be an excellent opportunity for really micromanagement and perfecting your economy if I was a fascist nation. If I was an authoritarian dictatorship, this would be good, but I'm not. I am the goddamn United States of America, and I'm not supposed to play like that, but that's exactly how it plays, as the only thing capitalists can do is give you a separate pool of money that you can then use. So how this works is capitalist classes will produce X amount of cash, which will go into a separate monetary pool. When you then try to build a building that they are able to subsidize, like a rice farm, for example, and you click on it, instead of using your money first, which is this money here, it will use that separate pool of money first instead. That is the only thing the capitalists can do. They cannot build anything. And worse yet, there isn't even a market simulation. Oh, there is a market for your market. In the American market, for example, you can see prices changing and so on, and this will go on in other markets as well, but there is no trade. Trade does not exist. Capitalists in America cannot sell to Britain. Instead, I have to go in and manually select trade and import routes. Okay, I need porcelain. All right, I'm going to import that from the Dutch market. There you go. This is not Victoria. Victoria is not a game about micromanagement like that. It is supposed to be an economic simulator, and this game simulates dick economically. Genuinely dick. To the point where there is even a cap on how much money you can have because your vault can't hold more gold. Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. And worse yet, it gets worse, because there is almost no difference between the nations. Okay, so, in America here, you've got irregular infantry, line infantry, skirmish infantry, trench infantry, squad infantry, and mechanized infantry, and you unlock these as you go down the tech tree. You can have different forms of cannons, and Almost all of these are straight upgrades. There is no reason to have a cannon over a mobile artillery. There is no reason to have mobile artillery over shrapnel artillery. There is no reason to have irregulars over line infantry, etc. The only one where is there a little bit of reason to maybe mix and match an army is in the specialist companies, where machine guns are more defensive, whereas infiltrators are more offensive. Flamethrower companies are more offensive, and chemical weapons are very offensive, but also devastates the shit out of the landscape. Everything else, like the medical building and the scouting, just straight upgrades. There is no finesse here whatsoever. Now, bear in mind what that looked like, and also the tech tree. I am gaining 70 tech points a week from a base of 50, and then from the universities I have created. Literacy rates do not add to research at all. It only adds to the caps. You can see there, a maximum of 129.35 innovation can be invested into active research each week, and that is because of the base value and then literacy. Literacy does affect technological spread, however. So if somebody else has a tech that I don't, and I'm very literate, I will get that tech before. But since I'm in Sandbox now, I am going to switch country. So the literacy rate in America is 52%. We're going to go over to Oyo here, where the literacy rate is 39.5%. Which is amazing for a country that is, well, basically impoverished and starving. Somehow, in between getting their daily food, the population of Oyo have enough time for 40% of them to learn to read and write, without any institutions, mind you, without any universities. And worse yet, again, look here. The picture might be different. The units, the stats, identical. Identical. Oyo gets trench infantry and skirmish infantry that are exactly the same as the American Marines. They get exactly the same artillery, exactly the same scouting, so on. And their tech tree, identical again. There is no westernization system. It doesn't exist. Bumfuck African nations start out with manufactories, start out with standing armies, urbanization, and rationalism. And they start out with democracy. They start out with ludicrous shit like shaft mining. Shaft mining and steelworks. Like, they're working on atmospheric engines. Like, Oyo is on about the same technological level as European nations, as Russia is. Because the only difference is the universities. That is the only thing that affects research total. There isn't even any differences in the government, goddammit. If I go to governmental lawyer, some absolute principality, well, that sounds like something cool. What's that? Well, actually, if you go to laws, you'll see that it's just monarchy. Yes. Oyo has the exact same governmental structure as the United Kingdom. No difference. No stats difference. It's the same damn thing. The only difference between the two is the amount of mana they have. That's it. That is actually it. And the loss of the westernization system is the biggest goddamn blow, in my opinion. Because my favorite faction was often playing Japan. I loved playing Japan, right? I'll pop over there because I'm playing a sandbox game. What makes Japan so cool is that they had to westernize, and westernization is a long and difficult process because it is not just getting technology. That is not westernization. Westernization is not figuring out how to use a train or a rifle. Westernization is the introduction of Western ideas, Western culture, Western institutions like the universities, and Western advisors aplenty. Westernization is the process of doing things the Western way, as the name clearly implies. This is why, before westernization, the Japanese army were, well, people like this, wearing robes, wearing large hats, wielding katanas and spears. And after westernization, they look like a Western army, wearing regulatory uniforms, using rifles and artillery cannons, and fighting in massed formations. They became a Western army. And the reason why it had so much resistance was because of the traditionalists that didn't want this. That's another thing too. Traditionalists don't exist anymore. Instead, every single person in your country that don't like anything you've ever done becomes a radical. There are no more Marxist radicals, no more fascist radicals, no more traditionalist or monarchist radicals. It's just radicals. Which is why you usually get a ridiculous number like 1.22 million radicals compared to 161 loyalists. 1,000, but you get my drift. That is just dumb, and it removes the reason to play Japan, because Japan is now just any other Western country, but with a different amount of mana, with a different amount of industrialization, because it too can build anything it wants. And that was the cool thing. Japan was an authoritarian country, so it could choose to build whatever. That made it different from America, but not in this game. And of course, again, different picture, but exact same units, exact same stats, work in exact same way, exact same tech tree, etc. I hate it. I hate it a tremendous amount. Let me switch back over to America here again. And point out, okay, so Paradox said that they focused more on the economic and political simulation for Victoria 3. They lied. They lied their asses off. And not only did they lie their asses off too, a bunch of the people they gave access to this game, the influencers, lied their faces off as well. Because before this launched, everyone was super positive, like, oh, this is totally a Victoria game. Anyone who says that has never actually played Victoria. And I'll grant the game this. It does a good job of fooling you. It does the Imperator Rome thing, where you look through this. You look through all of these tabs and all of these buttons, and you go, oh my god, oh look at this, look at all of these things. This must be a complex video game, right? Except, no, most of these buttons barely do anything. Like, for example, if I wanted to go in here, right, canneries, well, that's slightly more expensive, so we don't want to do that. But patent stills, that's more expensive too, we don't want to do that. Baking powder, that's more expensive, don't want to do that. Okay, none of those buttons did a damn thing, but in this case, ooh, $257 extra, fantastic, sign me up. That does nothing. I am at money cap. I literally can't earn more money. Nor can I use the money for anything except giving more wages to people, I guess. You know, I can pay people more. That's about it. I can bankroll other nations. I can't really use the money for political intrigue or means. I can't use it to sway populations or anything like that. And the pops too. The pops too are cool, and they've got a lot of details, but you can't do anything with them. I can't influence this pop. I can't try to convert them. I can't try to move their cultural groups. I can't really try to make them move. The only thing I can do is, like, put more industry in an area to convert farmers over to industrial laborers. That's about it. And they sacrificed all, and that was the point. That they were going to make that so good that they completely removed the warfare system. Let me show you warfare. I've got a war brewing with Mexico, who is being joined by a whole bunch of other silly little forces here. Where, let's see, we've got where's the war button? There's a war button somewhere. There's the war button, right. So, Mexico is being joined by the East India Company. Why? Are they friends with them? No. Not really. But the East India Company, from over here, on the other side of the globe, is going to get involved in a war in Mexico. Why? It is because every single solitary war now is a crisis, where other nations can intervene and where you can entice other nations to intervene. And this goes for every war, to the point where if you're playing as Japan and you're trying to conquer anything, get ready to fight Portugal and the United Kingdom and France and Spain and all kinds of shit for the most ridiculous territory. And this is because you can declare interest sphere. So for America, I've basically declared the entirety of North America and most of South America to be my interests. Right, okay. Mildly ridiculous, but very well. I can also, by the way, just send colonies over to Africa. Because why wouldn't you? Just, why not? God, it's so stupid. And there is no way to adversely affect somebody else's interest sphere. That's the thing. So, if the UK declares interest in Korea, right? In Victoria 2, that would be a sphere of interest, in which case I, as Japan, could send my diplomats over to Korea to reduce British influence, to eventually push the British out of the Korean political market entirely, thereby allowing me to invade Korea without British intervention. In this game, there is no mechanic for that. If Britain wants Korea, Japan can just fuck on off and suck it, because, no, it's going to have to declare war on the UK to get a hold of it. Worse yet, you might be thinking, at least now, okay, well, I mean, this isn't too bad, right? This isn't too bad. Okay, we can just go ahead to the war here, because they're going to be really far away, so it's going to take them months to get over here. Man, holy shit, the East India Company's over there, like, that is actually months of sea voyage in this era, right? That's fine, that's fine. Well, let's see here. Mexico is building up its points to start doing something gayer to me. And there are fills, and we get a battle, and there's the East India Company. Why? Because there is no movement of any units on the map whatsoever anymore, which means that as long as you're in a war, you will simply teleport to that war. Which, by the way, incidentally, also makes attrition pointless. Attrition is basically a non-existence mechanic now, because you don't have to move anywhere. I remember a game that we had in multiplayer, where I was playing the Qin Dynasty, and I was trying to help my buddy in Austria, right? So I had to move across Russia's shit infrastructure, losing tens of thousands of dudes on the way. Now, I wouldn't need to do that. I would just select a Grand General, place it there, and teleport over. That's it. Just like the East India Company just did to me, where they are teleporting troops from goddamn India all the way over here. It's a joke. As for the combat itself, this is another problem. All combat is based on the World War I formula, which basically means that defender wins, unless the attacker has massive numerical superiority or massive technological superiority. Like, in this case, I even kind of got screwed over by a bad event. I'm still gonna win, even though we have the same score, and even though they have more units than me. Okay, that's a bit derpy. But hey, surely there's something we can do here, right? There's something, right? That we can inspire them to attack, or no. We can order the general to be more aggressive. No. We can order him to attack their supply lines. No. Oh, well, at least we can be strategic, right? Okay, so this area is separate, so if we can just capture this region, that'll be cut up. No, the AI selects where to fight. Yeah. The entire war system is this. This is it. This is all there is. This is all that exists. The two sides will decide on a battlefield, and then they will both go to that battlefield, and they'll fight each other straight up. There will be no flanking, there will be no surrounding of enemy units, there will be no attacking logistics, there will simply be two sides grinding each other down however many times is required for one side to run out of war support. And that is the only way to win or lose. War support. War support is gained from exhaustion, for example, or due to casualties, or due to other factors like radical populations here. This also means that since I'm in a war with a bigger nation now, I kind of just want to sit on my fat ass and let them bleed themselves to death by attacking my defenses for a bit. Now, I'm the aggressor, so I should be the one that has to attack to push my war score up, but since it's only, war support, it doesn't matter. Like, I have no reason or rationale to attack, because if I attack, well, they outnumber me. I'll just lose, because they have higher numbers than me. And so the next phase begins, and the AI tends to just throw itself at you for ridiculously extended periods of time. As the bar fills up, as the two generals decide on a battlefront, and there we go. This time the Mexicans are going to have a go, and the Mexicans are going to get absolutely fucking slaughtered because they've got dick old tech and they're getting butchered by the hundreds. There you go. Yeah, that's warfare. I'm not kidding. That is the entire warfare system. That's it. This is it. Hell, I'll even show you. Right, okay. Let me, let's say I was an idiot here and really needed to push for victory quick, right? Okay, so let's go to our army tab here, and we can try and mobilize. Like, we'll activate conscript. Okay, let's activate some conscript, shall we? Let's get some from Alabama, and we'll get some from Georgia, and we'll get some from Indiana, and Kentucky. Well, like, we'll really start mobilizing a bunch, right? So we're gonna need some generals, because I think 28, yeah, I'm gonna need another general. Okay, so let's get another general here. Let's get one from New England, maybe? Yeah, New England general, why not? Maybe a good attacker, mountain combat expert, you know, it's not a bad idea. Let's get him, he's got a fancy hat as well. So then you mobilize him, and you send him off to the front, like so, and then you wait for him to teleport over there. Now my people will begin to mobilize, and you'll see these armies will begin increasing in numbers as the recruits eventually start making their way over there. Alright. You see that went up to 13, and slowly but surely the mobilization will begin reaching the front after a while. And then when I have a numerical advantage, and I have allowed the Mexicans to kind of beat themselves to death against me for a while. Oh, okay. They've decided to not attack me anymore, and you can see I am actually in the lead now, despite initially being quite badly outnumbered for a while there. Right, let's see, do you still have some capacity? You do, okay. Well, I would like to mobilize a little bit more first, thank you very much. I want a pretty solid advantage if at all possible, thank you. 37, 36, and they might be mobilizing as well, and there might be other modifiers, but it's just plus minuses to the same thing, which is largest number wins, pretty much. 44. Can it go higher? 46, 47, 48. Number go up. Alright, number is right about happy there, okay. In that case, let's advance front. We'll just give everybody orders to start pushing forward, and that's, again, all I can do. I can promote them. Well, that's neat, I suppose. And that's about it. I can't really order them to do anything fancy. I can't add on any modifiers beyond giving them better guns, really. And so I hope now that the generals will bring enough of their dudes to fight the enemy dudes. Well, there we go, as a battle, and they decided to fight them fair and square, 4 against 4. Alright. Well, that's quite retarded, but well, I'm winning anyways here because I've got a careful maneuver, and they have done a derp. Oh, yes. They have rolled poorly. Oh, Europa Universalis combat at its finest here. And once this is over, I will capture 1 territory. There you go. That was it. And this is how wars are fought. 1 bloody territory at a time. Even if it doesn't need to be. Even if it doesn't need to be. Like, for example, previously I was invading Texas, right? Texas, this huge area. Like, all of this border was mine to attack. And I was attacking with 2 armies. So surely, and Texas only had 1 army. So surely, like, one general would come in here and like, make noise. Another general will come in here, and they would attack villages, and they'd burn logistic, and they'd attack from 2 places at once. No. Same thing. 1 battle, 1 battle, 1 battle, 1 battle, 1 battle. I hate this warfare system so much. I hate it so much. Like, I don't actually have words for how much I dislike this combat system, because all it is bar move. Bar moves. Bar moves the combat system. That is all this is. The only thing. First, you watch this bar move, and then you click on this, and then that bar moves. And then a single thing goes into this incredibly ugly multi-flag color. And then you do that again until your enemy runs out of war score. God. It is... it is awful. It is the worst Paradox battle system ever made. And that's saying something, considering Paradox hates making combat systems. They despise it. They've been using the same combat system since Europa Universalis 1, and this is worse. This is worse than Imperator Rome's combat system, because at least there, you could choose a formation before going into battle. And again, the combat system was sacrificed for a better economic simulation, which, again, just basically doesn't exist. The capitalist class doesn't exist. The international market for capitalism, for people to buy and sell things, doesn't exist. Individual initiative, capitalists buying up land, building factories and stuff, doesn't exist. It's simply one long production queue that I've queued up because, well, there's a tooltip up here which tells me what I need. And that's it. It's like, oh, well, I need to increase market access to these regions. Unproductive traders, okay, well, I guess I should cancel that one for fabric. All right, that's not doing too well. Well, we'll get rid of that then. Well, I will protect domestic supply, yes. I feel like my presence here is not really required, because the game damn near plays itself at this point. Like, the warfare system sure as hell does. Like, I can't do anything over here. I have zero influence on this. Like, even my generals go like, well, let's attack a force twice our size. And somehow they're winning. I don't even know why. Like, offense 21 versus... defense of 34, but they're kicking their asses. Better guns, I guess. I hope so. That's what I have to assume. Bar moves. And again, Bar only ever moves. There is no point whatsoever at which point Bar goes like, No, Bar only ever moves. This system is useless. And speaking of as well, okay, so you might think, okay, well, there's got to be some option somewhere, right? There's little events popping up. That's kind of like it. Let's look at this. The slavery debate. America's unique mechanic. The slavery debate is either you abolish slavery or there's a civil war. That's your option right there. There is no choice to reform slavery. There is no choice to enforce slavery. It's abolish slavery or civil war. That is it. There's no choice. There is no option. There is no influence on that whatsoever. It is a binary choice. It's war or abolish it. There's no complex decision tree. There's no interesting decisions to make. There's no relevant tech to be researched. It's just that. That's all. Boring as hell. What's it too? Most of the nations are boring as hell too. In all of the games I've played so far, I did a 6-hour stream on this goddamn game. Nothing happens. Nothing goddamn happens. There's nothing interesting going on. Like, nothing really... The only interesting thing is that occasionally weird countries decide to colonize weird areas. Like, I've seen, like, Prussia colonize down here, for example, for reasons. Or Austria deciding to colonize over in the Pacific. It's like, oh, wow, we wanted this now. Okay, well, I mean, it's yours, I suppose. Have it. I do understand why I'm beating the Mexicans, though. Like, the Mexicans are probably pretty shit at fighting, frankly. Like, look at them. Actually, I think those guns are more advanced than these things I'm using here. Also, there's no custom portraits either, of course, and... Let's finally address the elephant in the room, shall we? Flavor packs. DLC. Oh, the game crashed. Well, that's a beautiful way to... You know what? Whilst I discuss the DLC, let me just put up the thumbnail I had made for Victoria 3 when I was still excited for it. That was a relatively poor goddamn investment, now wasn't it? Okay, let's put up the thumbnail, shall we? Right, so, the elephant in the room, DLC. The warfare system is non-existent. It isn't there. It literally just isn't there. So that is going to be DLC. There's going to be an entire, like, warfare system rework DLC, which is going to cost the usual $30. The capitalist class can't do anything. That's probably going to be another DLC, the economic DLC. All of the nations have the same interchangeable portraits, to the point where Japan gets Western event images and the West gets like Turkish event images. So there you're going to get a flavor pack where you're going to be given things that actually look like the region you're in. Then there's going to be governmental packs, like, oh, proper democracy, and that'll cost you a few dollars. Then there'll be unit packs, probably, to show your little icons as they move around the map, as they eventually probably reintroduce actual military warfare. Because the game right now is basic as hell. Like, there are no mechanics with real, genuine complexity in the game. Everything is shallow as hell. It is made to look like it has depth, but it doesn't. Almost nothing has any real effect on anything else. Everything is shallow. Everything is basic, and there is certainly no Victoria simulations here anywhere. Which means these are all of the features that Paradox are going to nickel and dime you for over the next 10 plus years. I hate it. I really do. I really genuinely do. Victoria 3, in my opinion, is nothing more than a paid alpha. Not even a beta. This is a paid alpha, where you get to play a game before most of the mechanics in the game are actually implemented. And it's got a nice coat of paint. It tricks you into thinking that there is complexity, precisely like Imperator Rome, but there really is none. And anyone who has played Victoria 2 will see that for certain. This is a casualized experience for a casualized audience, and it has none of the flair, none of the uniqueness, and none of the special pizzazz of Victoria 2. And that's my final thought on it. It's disappointing in the extreme, as I really wanted to hope, but yet again, Paradox has promised the earth and delivered nothing. Final thought on it. Until next time, I've been Arch. Thank you all very much for watching, and I hope to see you all again soon. Have a good day.